My name is INTAN NAZIRA binti BAHRIM. My metric number is CN210226. I am student from University Tun Hussein, Malaysia, and today I'm gonna to share with you guys about the life cycle assessment of glass bottle. Okay, now I will share with you guys about the history of the glass bottle. People have used glass bottles for thousands of years, but for most of that history, bottles were hand-blown by craftsmen who studied bottle making their entire life. That changed in the early 20th century when technology enabled glass bottles to become common household items. For guys' information, there are 4 types era of glass bottle. First, ancient world, Middle Age, Renaissance, and Industrial era. The ancient world. The first glass bottles were made in 1500 BC in Mesopotamia. Glass blowing, the technique of shaping molten glass by blowing into blowpipe, first developed in the 1st century BC in Syria. Ancient glass was made using a naturally occurring material called natron. It is composed mostly of sodium carbonate, hydrate, and sodium bicarbonate with small amounts of sodium chloride and sodium sulfide. Middle Age. After Roman glass making technique were lost, the greatest glass was produced in northwestern and central Europe starting in 1080. It was called forest glass because it was produced in glass factories in the middle of the woods. It was made using wood ash and sand as the main raw material and had a distinctive green color. In the 14th century, master glassmakers on the island of Murano in Italy made the most prized glass in Europe. French and Germany tried to bribe the master glassmakers to leave. To keep the glassmakers in Venice, they were given higher social status and could marry their daughters into nobility. No other tradesmen were granted this honor. Industrial era. In the 17th century, English businessman George Ravenscroft discovered how to produce lead glass at large scale. His heavy glass replaced Venetian glass as the most popular form of glass in London. Okay, now as you guys can see in this slide, there are 2 types of color, which is green and yellow. So all the changes related to glassmaking happened in this year, starting from 1774 until 1925. So starting from 1774, the scientist Joseph Priestley conducted an experiment where he focused a lens on a lump of reddish mercury oxide in an inverted glass container. It emitted a gas that was 5 or 6 times as good as common air. He did not know it at the time, but Priestley used a glass bottle to discover oxygen. Making a decorative glass container in this time normally required trained artisans and a lot of time. But in the 1820s, Americans developed a special mold that could make one in second. In the 1850s, the American tinsmith John Landis Mason invented a glass bottle with a 3D finish. To seal it, you simply had to screw on a lid. The reusable mason jar made it easy to store and preserve food for long periods of time. In 1859, French scientist Louis Pasteur used glass containers called swan-neck flasks to settle an age-old scientific dispute. First, he boiled birds in the flasks and let them sit. Contrary to expectation, microorganisms did not form in the birds. This refused the common belief that life could spontaneously generate. Okay, now I will explain for the yellow one. So, the yellow one is for the automatic glass bottle manufacturing revolution times. So, starting from 1880 years, in the 1880 years, inventors in America and England created the first glass blowing machines. However, they were not used until the 1890 years because glass blowing unions did not like the idea of being replaced. A more significant advancement in bottle production happened in 1903. Michael Owens, a self-taught American inventor, unveiled an efficient automatic glass forming machine. He worked on it for years. It was so efficient, it could make more bottles every hour than an entire team of glass blowers could produce in a day. These bottle making machines were very primitive and required child labor in order to work. Eventually, the Owens bottle machine had 10,000 parts and weighed 30 tons. Carl Piller invented a way to make a more efficient system for mass producing bottle in 1915. His innovation was called the gob feeder. This was a part that dropped a carefully measured gob of molten glass into the machine mold. This machine made perfectly sized gobs by precisely controlling the temperature of the glass. This innovation helped explode the number of glass container producing in the United States. In 1925, Henry Ingle of the Hartford Empire Company solved one of the problems with the classic gob feeder. In order for the gob feeder to work, the molten glass and blow mold had lined perfectly. This was accomplished with one or two rotating tables. To make production more efficient, he invented the individual section feeder. This featured a bank of molten glass and blow molds in a straight line on a fixed bed plate. Gobs of hot glass were delivered to each mold, one after another. Next, I will share with you guys about the theory on life cycle assessment. Did you know about the life cycle assessment? And what is actually life cycle assessment? So, life cycle assessment or LCA is a tool for evaluating the environmental impacts of a product or process over a defined life cycle period using a set principles and guidance that are common among products. The use of LCA provides the practitioner an ability to assess the environmental aspect of a product or process and allows for comparison of the environmental attributes of alternative product. The four basic stages of conducting an LCA include goal and scope definition, inventory analysis, impact assessment, and interpretation. The major stages in the life cycle of a product or process are material acquisition, materials manufacture, production, use, reuse, maintenance, and waste management. This is what I said just now. This is the four basic stage or framework life cycle assessment. Okay, now I will explain about the life cycle of glass bottle. So, the raw material get from the earth. These materials are used to manufacture the products. It takes a lot of machinery and human energy to collect the mine raw materials. These include cutting trees to produce paper or mining sand to produce glass. Glass is a mixture of three main raw materials such as limestone, sand, and soda ash. In the manufacturing stage of a glass bottle or product, energy and raw materials are the main input. To manufacture a glass bottle, the three major raw materials in producing glass, soda ash, limestone, and sand are weighed and mixed into various batches with recycled glass and then heat to around 1500 degrees Celsius to make a liquid mixture. The molten mixture is then flattened onto molten tin temperature of 1000 degrees Celsius. After the molten glass leaves the parts of molten tin, the glass then cools down to 600 degrees Celsius. It has cooled down enough to pass an annealing chamber, generally called a layer. The glass then becomes hard enough to pass over rollers and is annealed. The process changes the internal stress, enabling the glass to be cut and work in a predictable way and ensuring the glass flatness. There is no need for polishing and grinding, as both the surfaces are fire finished. Once the liquid is cool, the glass is prepared for use. The glass undergoes strict quality checks, is cleaned and treated properly, and a label is printed on it if required. The glass bottle is filled and used to hold a drink. Further, it is stuck, stored, and transported. End of the cycle, estimates suggest that the life cycle of glass bottle is too long. It takes up to 1 million years or more for a glass bottle to decompose in the environment. Decomposing in a landfill will take even longer. Glass artifacts from the beginning of Egypt's glassmaking industry around 2000 BC still exist. Next is impact of glass bottle on the environment. First, global environmental crisis. Glass is made from a fine sand called silica, a type of quartz that's broken down by water and wine over millions of years. Sand mining is horrendous for local ecosystem as it decimate local fish breeding grounds and sand bars that feed birds and seals. Sand dredging causes beach to shrink and has even led to beach collapsing. As a result, it's considered to be global environmental crisis as population increase and urbanization continues. Water pollution. The biggest environmental impact from glass comes from making the stuff. Melting the raw materials down produce carbon dioxide as well as nitrogen oxides, a contributor to smoke. Moreover, other environmental concerns of glass making are water pollution and the use of non-renewable materials such as sands and minerals. A glass furnace has to run 24/7 and cannot be stopped or cooled down during its lifetime. Just imagine how much energy it is used, most of which come from fossil fuels. Disturb ecosystem. First up, making new glass requires sand. While we have tons of sand on beach and under the ocean, we are using it faster than the planet can replenish it. We use sand more than we use oil, and only a specific kind of sand can be used to get the job done. So, here are some more concerning issues. First, mostly sand is harvested from riverbeds and seabeds. Second, taking sand out of the natural environment also disturb the ecosystem, considering microorganisms live on it which feed the base of the food chains. Lastly, removing sand from the sea base leave shore communities open to flooding and erosions. Okay, for the last one, we will discuss about how to mitigate or how to reduce the impact of the glass bottle on the environment. So, there are three ways from other countries that we can take as an example to we conduct in Malaysia. So the first one is business recycling. Business recycling, also known as the milkman model. This is where a business collects its own container and reuse them in their production. The second one, German refund system. Customer pay a surcharge for a glass container include in the price which they receive back when they deposit the bottle in a kiosk or at the store. Bottles are washed, sterilized, and finally returned to the manufacturer. And the last one is bulk buying. Bulk buying is bringing your own container, carton bag, jar or bottle to a store that sells in a bulk to refill. That's all from me. Thank you.